Hello, and welcome to the first Lyrics 101 video in like 8 years. Wow, that doesn't make you feel old, I'll do it for you.
Hey folks, I actually shot this back in August as sort of an experimental Lyrics 101 reboot pilot, so it probably seems out of order because it is. But just play along, we don't want to upset August me.
Remember, every lyricist who critiques somebody else's lyrics is inherently hypocritical because we all get lazy, we all cut corners, we don't write the perfect lyric every time because there is no perfect lyric. But anyway, this is just my opinion, is the point I'm trying to get to. Okay, let's get started. We begin with the theme song of Warner Brothers' audacious 1991 cartoon series centered around the Tasmanian devil, Taz-mania, the title of which is clever because not only is Tasmania where actual Tasmanian devils come from, but also it's like Tasmania, Tazapalooza, Tazarammading-dong. Visually, the intro starts out well enough. It gives a nice sense that you're leaving the real world and entering this yellow-skied, cartoonified Australia.
Welcome to Atlantic's way, under, down, under. The sky's always yellow in rain or shine.
The lyrics in the feel right at the top are nice. They're decent lyrics. It's a bouncy, kind of folky tune. Kind of reminds me of Disney's Robin Hood. By the way, the song was composed by Richard Stone, who wrote tons of music for the 90s Warner Brothers cartoons. And the lyrics were co-written by Jim Cummings and Jess Harnell, and Harnell also provided the vocals for the song. If you don't know, Jim Cummings is the voice of Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Pete on Goof Troop, and Taz, just to name a few. Jess Harnell is the voice of Wacko Warner, and a ton of other voice acting and live-action roles. So what comes next?
Down to Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
As a kid, I just thought this was doubling up the phrase "come to Tasmania," but through highly scientific lyrical research done in the year of our Lord 2020, it appears that it's actually down in Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
Come to Butthead.
And that's a great hook. It gets stuck in your head, and it makes sense. Tasmania is where the show happens and the title of the show. It's sort of saying, come, enter, welcome, g'day. Here's your bottle of Vegemite and your billabong bowl of witchetty grubs. But then in the next part of the song, we start to get in trouble.
When Topsy meets Tubby, they start to spin like a Tasmanian devil and his closest kin.
Here we start to see the real problem with this theme song. It's a combination of a singer who doesn't do a great job enunciating the words and a lyric that already makes it difficult to do that in the first place. The second half of this couplet is
like a Tasmanian devil and his closest kin.
And that line is good. You can understand what the singer is saying, and it sets up the fact that we're expanding the Taz lore out to his family. The words you may have missed were,
when Topsy meets Turvy, they start to spin.
Now, I love the phrase, when Topsy meets Turvy, but it's a bit poetical for a children's TV show theme song, especially when the lyric just whizzes by. And to be Captain Literal about it, Taz's spinning is not some result of two abstract forces meeting. The dude just spins. So, if I may be so bold, I ever so humbly submit this as what might have been a better couplet. There's a Tasmanian devil who loves to spin, and he lives down yonder with his closest kin. I don't know, look, it's easier to rearrange somebody else's lyric when it's established and has cooled in the kiln of time. I'm just saying, like, that might have been clearer. But anyway, there is a fifth dimension between Tasmania and lyrics. Picture yourself on a boat on a river. You're now entering the gibberish zone.
Mom's alive, why her dad's up on a log. Molly's all fired up while Jake plays with the dog.
Now, I get that the songwriters are trying to tell us about the cast of characters really efficiently, and in that sense, it's a successful couplet, but again, there's this triple problem of, number one, a lyric that's become a tongue twister when laid over this melody, number two, Jess Harnell's charming but hard to understand delivery, and number three, different types of lyrical descriptions right in a row.
Mom's a live wire.
Mom's a live wire. It's a metaphor that might go over a kid's head, but it essentially makes sense and tells you something about the character. The part describing the character of Taz's dad is hard to make out.
Dad's up on a log.
If you try to find what the lyrics of the song are on Google, these websites will say, Dad's a bump on a log, and I went into this video thinking that's what the lyrics were. But listen to what it sounds like when you slow it down.
Dad's a bump on a log.
I tried to get in touch with Jess Harnell on Twitter by asking him what the actual words are. He didn't respond, but a bunch of my followers listened to it, and basically based on their reactions, I'm now convinced it's Dad's no bump on a log. Now we've got Molly's all fired up while Jake plays with the dog.
Molly's all fired up while Jake plays with the dog.
So, okay, Mom's a live wire, Dad's no bump on a log. Two fairly sophisticated metaphors in a row, one being a positive claim, Mom is a live wire, and the other being a negative claim, Dad's no bump on a log. Now we've got Molly's all fired up while Jake plays with the dog. The first two were descriptions of sort of cardinal traits about these characters, though they were worded in two opposite ways. The second two are more temporary states of being that don't tell us as much about who these characters really are. And the way Jess Harnell pronounces plays with the dog sounds more like plays with her doll to me.
Jake plays with the dog.
The whole section of describing Taz's family members lasts literally 5 seconds, and it's a bit of a mess and a sign of things to come. But we hear the very good hook one more time.
Come to Tasmania, come to Tasmania.
And now there's this new section, which you could interpret as a B section or a bridge. Song structure is interpretable. It's the next part.
Didgeridingo in Wendell T. Wolf. Francis X. BUSHLAD is never uncouth. Bushwhacker Bob and his mother gold mum. Constance and Dickley just wanna have fun. But Gator and Axel are always left sore. If you have a deal, just call Buddy Moore. The Platypus brothers are a-backin about. The Kiwi, the Bushrats, have we left anyone out?
Now, maybe some of you are from Australia or New Zealand, and this is perfectly intelligible for you. But for me, I have some issues. Okay, I will say these character names are amazing. However, the audience is being bombarded with names they've never heard in ways that make those names hard to understand. If you don't understand what's being said in the song, one thing your brain will automatically try to do is piece together what was said in the first line of a couplet by starting with the end of the second line, because you can connect the rhyme back to the first line. But when the second rhyming word is uncouth, and the corresponding rhyme in the first line is wolf, and the stuff between is hard to understand, you're left not really knowing what the heck you just heard. Also, Francis X. BUSHLAD is a mouthful at any tempo.
Francis X. BUSHLAD, Francis X. BUSHLAD, Francis X. BUSHLAD.
He is said to never be uncouth.
Francis X. BUSHLAD is never uncouth.
But walking up to a bipedal sapient dingo so you can shoot him point blank, I don't know that that's particularly couth. When you're a kid, you can watch an intro like this and you don't necessarily mind the words you don't understand, because as a kid, you're used to not understanding plenty of the words you hear all the time. A kid in that situation might latch on to the visual storytelling, and we do get to know some of these characters in broad strokes from the visual storytelling. Anyway, next.
Bushwhacker Bob and his mother gold mum.
All right, so on top of a pretty sloppy delivery by Jess Harnell, which makes Bushwhacker Bob sound like Bushwhacker Bob, there's a failure over the course of the whole phrase to match prosody. Let me explain. Prosody is essentially mimicking the actual intonation and inflection of the language in which you are writing your lyric, as it is juxtaposed over the melody. Let me try to explain better. If an actor were given the line, Bushwhacker Bob and his mother called Mom, I think that one interpretation that might be pretty clear is Bushwhacker Bob and his mother called Mom. Then we would understand, he's a bushwhacker, his name is Bob, he calls his mother Mum. If it comes out Mother Gold Mum, it sort of sounds like monocled Mum, and on top of that, I don't know that the fact that this man calls his mother Mum is a particularly defining characteristic for either of them. That's their whole story. That's their cardinal gestalt. He's a bushwhacker and calls his mother Mum. That's just what Australians call their mothers. So in real time, it's like monocle, marigold, what did he say? But by then we're on to the next couplet, which in English is...
Constance and Dickley just wanna have fun.
To be fair, the sound effects are not helping listener comprehension here.
Constance and Dickley.
But whenever I hear thickly, I can't help but hear
Dickley.
That may say more about me than the song, I guess. But as the lyric says, they just want to have fun. And that's a defining characteristic, tells us a little bit about them. We get sort of a sense of them. Fine, moving on.
Gator and Axel are always left sore.
couple things. Is Bull Gator pronounced Bulgata on the show? Because if not, you're basically mispronouncing the name. You don't call Homer Simpson Homer Simpson because the incorrect inflection is basically a mispronunciation. All right, so Bull Gator and Axel are always left sore, and boy are we really pushing this heavy thing falls on a character and crushes them gag. Like fully half of these characters are dead before the end of the intro. But okay, so next we have If You Have a Deal, Just Call Buddy Boar.
If you have a deal, just call Buddy Boar.
Now this is interesting. I think the words "if you have a deal, just call" are a little confusing because what kind of businessman is so broadly businessy that you contact them for just a deal? But okay, I'm getting too literal. The real problem with the line is that it's mostly unintelligible. Before I knew the actual words, it just hit me as like, if you have a deal, just call Buddy Boar. Like, is it a witch's spell? Next we have...
The Platypus brothers are a-backin about.
We see these two duck-like creatures in their little duck truck, but the phrase, the Platypus brothers are a-backin about, would be hard enough to enunciate here in the first place, on top of, yet again, the melody and the tempo and the singer making it unintelligible. Next part.
The Kiwi, the Bushrats, have we left anyone out?
The lyric itself here is great. It addresses the concept of the song and it goes a bit meta. But I would argue that the delivery is just a bit slurred and doesn't allow a lot of listeners to understand what they're saying. And that's a shame because it's a really nice touch.
Have we left anyone out? Oh yeah, don't forget Taz.
Now, that is a good line. That is a solid gag. But if you can't understand the setup, then the punchline is going to have problems.
He put the Taz in Tasmania, down to Tasmania, come to Tasmania. We mean you!
I get the sense that the producers were really pushing the songwriters here to do a list song about the whole cast, because not only do you feel a strain in trying to do that over the span of 1 minute, but it's even self-aware about how extra that is. That kind of thing has been done better in another 1990s Warner Brothers cartoon, Animaniacs, which, who knows, maybe I'll talk about in the future. Zooming out to the Taz-mania intro as a whole, what could they have done differently with the visuals to make it better once they were locked into this exact music track? Well, I think some kind of subtitles would have been good, maybe a follow the bouncing ball kind of thing, or at least showing up when you see a character's name so you know who it is. And this also would act as a shortcut for the sloppily delivered tongue twister that is this lyric. You could argue that plenty of the kids who would enjoy this show would be too young to read at that speed in the first place, and that's a fair point, but to that I would respond with this question. If you're aiming this show at kids who can't read yet, why do you use metaphors as sophisticated as "mom's a live wire," "dad's no bump on a log," and poetic phrases like "when Topsy meets Turvy," and also words as advanced as "uncouth"? In the big picture, it may have been a better idea to just show us the actions or traits of the extended cast members without describing each one. We don't need to know something specific about every single character. We can just get to know them from how they act. Indeed, we arguably do get to know them a little better if we just turn the sound off and rely on the visuals. And that does not speak well of the lyric. An audience can only apprehend so much information at a time, and I would argue that the Taz-mania theme song may have crammed itself too full to be effective at what it was trying to do. What this song highlights from a craft perspective is just how hard it can be to do an up-tempo list song with good rhymes that's also comprehensible in the moment. Bull Gator and Axel are always left sore, kind of weirdly worded, but it has to rhyme with another character, Buddy Boar. Francis X. Bushlad is never uncouth. They needed something that at least felt like it might rhyme with wolf. I mean, you could have tried golf,
Scale a dragon, tooth of wolf, dropped into the bottomless gulf.
Look, if you're gonna try to rhyme wolf, you're painting yourself into a corner.
Feed on it, Delilah.
The bummer of the Taz-mania intro is that you can see talent and effort in every part of it. The lyrics, the music, the musicianship, the voice acting, the animation, the direction, it's all well done in some way. And while I know I keep hammering Jess Harnell's performance, for all we know, he may have been directed to sound like a tipsy, slurry Australian didgeridoo-doofus, and if that's the case, hey, he nailed it. The fact that they packed so much information into the lyrics in such a short amount of time is an absolute feat. It just doesn't add up to a song that the listener can understand and therefore fully enjoy in real time. Now look, I have definitely written some overly complicated lyrics before, and I just should have simplified. Again, if you turn off the sound during the Taz-mania intro, you see a zany cast of characters with big personalities. There's classic Looney Tunes slapstick, it's a colorful world, and it communicates that you're gonna have a good, uniquely weird time. If the lyric had focused on the broad strokes of that, you could have been in and out in 45 seconds instead of a minute, and it would have been infinitely more understandable. So those are my thoughts on the Taz-mania intro. Remember, as I said before, every lyricist who critiques another person's lyrics is 100% hypocritical, including me. So these are just my opinions, and take them with a grain of whatever granular substance you prefer. Thanks for joining me, and let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you think I was right. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you didn't, play a trick on someone you can't stand and tell them to watch it. And if you would, just gingerly actuate the subscribe button, and I don't know, ring the notification bell. Give it just a little ringy-dingy so you can know when my next video comes out, which of course you'll want to, because these videos about cartoon theme songs are extremely important, and I'm the voice of a generation, and why would you want to experience the agony of not experiencing that right after it's released? Bye.